What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week. If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. No, we did not meet on Grindr. It's Desra.
Hello. It was Tinder, actually.
It's probably Tinder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, no, I'm old. I haven't used either of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. The very thought of it
Yeah.
terrifies me.
Neither have I.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not judging. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and sitting across from me, of course, is Brian Paul.
We got them all flustered, kids. We got them all flustered. And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we sit around and we talk about old PlayStation VR games.
Way back when in the day.
Way back when.
Before Tinder.
Before...
And Grindr.
Is that a thing? No. We pull one out of the archive, like usually, hopefully a launch title. Like this week, a launch title.
Yeah.
And we see if it's been improved at all. We see if it's had any upgrades, any patches. And is it worth going back to? And if you've never played it, is it worth picking up now, or has it aged poorly?
Yeah.
I think it was the first time I've ever said that succinctly.
And I think it's really well spoken.
Thank you very much.
Unlike my response.
So, what game did we choose this week, Desiree?
Today we chose Headmaster.
I love Headmaster.
Met him on Grindr too.
So Headmaster was a launch game. It came out on October 13, 2016. One of my favorite days in all of history.
And none of that. It's a standard on the demo disc. The first demo disc. It was it was on that, right? Yes. Going a little crazy here.
I don't know.
And it was actually a PSVR exclusive for quite a while.
It was indeed.
Yep.
It was indeed. Developed by Frame Interactive Studios, LLC.
Originally pitched right there in Boston.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yep. There was a conference there where, the main guy from Frame, I can't remember his name.
I can't either.
Just started following you on Twitter. Excellent article you posted there. Anyways, sorry, sir. Forgot your name. But anyways, there was a con in Boston. He originally pitched it and then went from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So it's been about over a year and a half since PlayStation VR launched, and so thus over a year since this launch title came out.
Yeah.
And when I was doing research for this episode, I got a little concerned. I was like, oh, Frame Interactive. I'm like, that's not a name I've heard since then, since the launch of Headmaster. I was like, I wonder what they've been up to. I mean, obviously they ported this over to PC.
Yep.
But it had been 6 months solid since there'd been
And they added some stuff to the game proper too.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely
did. We'll definitely get to that. But it had been 6 months since there'd been any blog updates, any Twitter posts, anything at all. And I was like, having just seen the Stifle developers, Gatai Games, be like, VR isn't paying off for us financially. After just seeing that, I was like, do we have to be worried about these guys? So I reached out to them, and what an amazing response I got. Today, the 9th.
Breaking news!
It
was Ron Show.
You may or may not have already seen this news, but Frame Interactive is actually bringing Dead Secret to PlayStation VR. Now, if you guys know, Dead Secret, we saw the trailer for Dead Secret. We saw it on PlayStation VR Theater, but we also saw it like years ago. I think 2 years ago when it was still in development for Project Morpheus.
Oh right, yeah.
So it's been around. It's been kicking around for quite a while. So maybe it's definitely already been on PC. But it's awesome that Frame Interactive is finally bringing it to PSVR because that's where we're going to play it, obviously. So awesome to know that Frame Interactive is still going strong. And then they've got a game coming our way, and even better, a game that I really want.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Headmaster.
Improvement is mandatory.
Yeah, so the name alone, Headmaster, brings. I mean, there's a Grindr reference there for sure.
Yeah.
But staying out of the gutter. It's so difficult to stay out of the gutter.
Yeah. It's a really big gutter.
If you think about this game, if you think about this game must have been a hard sell, right? Because it looks like if you don't play the demo and you just skim by it in the PlayStation Store, you're like, sports game, moving on.
Yeah, and not only that, it's just a sports game with there's only one thing you do.
Right, I'm just trying to make goals, trying to make soccer goals.
No, not even. I'm backtracking even more. There's only one way to interact with the game. There's only one thing you do, and that's hit the ball with your head.
Dunk.
Right, that's the only game mechanic, period. Okay, so right there, it's a sports game, and that's all you do? Thanks, no.
So, I guess we should explain that it's not just a sports game.
No.
In fact, it's not even a sports game.
Barely. So you're a character.
Certainly
you
are.
never really get a name. You only get a number, and you are in this mix between a boarding school and an internment camp called the Football Improvement Center, and you have been sentenced, asked to be there, signed a contract.
We're not really sure if you're being held there against your will or not.
Well, you signed contracts,
Okay, but
so it implies that at least you entered in there.
entered willingly, but it doesn't seem like the kind of place that we are staying willingly.
No, and that's the first thing I want to say about this is like, it pulls off a trick that only a few games have pulled off. I've raved a lot in the past few weeks about how amazingly immersive Moss is because the environments are so detailed and gorgeous that even though it's third person, you go watch that episode. This pulls off an awesome trick. The environments are not particularly detailed.
They're good looking, but no, they're not detailed.
But the lighting and the audio alone, it feels so real.
It's the lighting is so stark. It definitely feels like you're being scrutinized. There's like these spotlights on you.
Yeah.
And because, well, rightfully so, the whole thing is you being put to test. So yeah, but the audio is incredible. Like, this is more so than a sports game, which again I'm kind of saying it's not at all. It's definitely it ventures close to like the puzzle game territory. It ventures more even so into like just a very dark narrative, and it's almost using the puzzles or the levels to give you an excuse to get to the next part of the narrative.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's not super dark like horror. It's darkly funny. There's definitely think like Portal, think like Static, that kind of thing. You are and again very similar. You're being put to the test by this faceless narrator.
And the further you get, the worse it gets.
And the weirder it gets. And what is funny is you do get so again with Portal and Static, those are both things where the people who are in charge of you kind of have their stuff together.
Yeah,
they're smart, they're evil, but as the game progresses, you realize the person, the headmaster in charge of this, does not have his shit together.
Yeah.
And over there's calls about people, the bills piling up and like the power just dies because he forgot to pay the bill. And so it is dark, but it's darkly funny, but dark.
Yeah, these people are in trouble, and because you're there, you're kind of in trouble too. So it's not a sports game. I said it's sort of a puzzle game.
Yeah.
It's sort of so let's put it this way. Is Peggle a puzzle game? Because if Peggle's a puzzle game, then this is a puzzle game. This in Peggle, I think sort of they kind of fall into the same territory as far as puzzle games are concerned.
Yeah, well there's a certain amount of coordination and skill you need to use to solve the puzzles. But the puzzle aspect of it doesn't really start kicking in until I'd say about like level 14 or 15, really.
Sure.
You have to get because most of it just seems like, okay, and I don't think we've said it explicitly. No. I'll say explicitly. You're sitting up, there's a bunch of targets and a ball gets launched at you and you have to head the ball into the targets. That's kind of the rough mechanic of it.
Yeah, there's always a giant goal, and as long as you get it in the goal, you always get 10 points per ball.
Yep.
But there's usually targets that have a different score on them, or different power-ups, or different or extra balls, or multi-ball, or whatever it is. Exploding
or beach balls.
balls.
The beach balls are the best. Yeah.
Adorable. Absolutely. And so you're every single level. You're tasked with getting 1 to 3 stars. 1 will pass you and allow you to go on to the next challenge, but 3 stars is obviously the goal of each level.
Right, and you get a motivational item at the end of each level.
If you get 3 stars, you get the motivational item.
Yeah.
And so, and in that motivational item, then it gets collected and put up and displayed in your, let's call it a dorm room.
Yeah.
Although it looks more like a jail cell.
Oh, it's absolutely a prison cell. Yeah, no question. But and that's the fun thing is like the language that the narrator uses for everything is just this obvious, like for instance, there is a clipboard on the ground that's like your only way to interact with the menus. Like you look down at the clipboard that pauses the game and whatnot, but he doesn't call it a clipboard, it's a tablet computer. And the same thing with your dorm room. I think he calls it like relaxation center, or something.
Like that.
And of course, instead of you've got your beautiful sink toilet combo thing. So it is certainly a prison cell.
Yeah. It's fun. I think I'm never the type of person that like, I shouldn't say that, but for the most part, I'm not the type of person that's like, I need to keep doing this level over and over and over again until I get 3 stars. Yeah. But this game, so I mean, I'll break the fourth wall a little bit here.
Yeah.
So I reviewed this game back when it came out, and I said this is a great game. But I had never finished it. Just quite a few levels.
Yeah.
And you don't need to get too far into the game to make the verdict of like, hey, this is actually a fantastic game with a great sense of humor, great controls, all the above. You need to play this, that kind of thing. And then and then I started up today in preparation for this episode. And what I realized was that I was like only about halfway through the game.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, well, let me just blast through the rest of it. I'll just blast through, no problem. I'll see the rest of the story. I'll get 1 star on each one. I don't care.
Yeah.
And man, I found myself succeeding at getting a lot of 1 stars and failing at getting a lot of 1 stars as well, having to replay quite a few levels.
Yeah.
But even after getting 1 star, I'm like, I'll just replay this one more time. I'll just replay this one more time. I really want to get 3 stars because there's something very addictive. There's an addictive quality about getting that reward.
Yeah.
About being like, okay, here's another decoration for my little dorm room. Like I wanna deck that thing out, man. I want to see everything that they can give me for that room. I want to be complete. I'm a completionist. So.
Well, for me, it was just the achievement part too. Is like you get, like, oh, just 20 points short of the 3rd star. Damn it! All right, I'm gonna go. I'm not really the collectible completionist. I just wanted those 3 stars, and you need the stars too because to actually progress and beat the game, you have to finish the exams.
Right.
And to be able to enter the exams, you have to score a certain number of stars.
Right.
And at first, it doesn't seem too bad. It's like, oh, I'll do like 1 or 2 stars, and you can get to the first exam pretty easily. But eventually, you get up to like exam 2 and 3, and you're like, oh crap, I'm like 30 stars behind. So you find yourself going back to levels that were easier for you or just were so difficult just to rank up those stars again. So those are kind of important. And the other thing too is the creativity the developers used with the different levels. Again, it sounds like, okay, well, I'm just heading balls into targets. It's like, no. Like at some point you're just like randomly, oh, now you're 30 feet above the playing field, and you've got to head down into. Oh no, actually no, now there are drones flying around the targets, and oh, there's a goalie, which you have this headmaster keeps talking about your anxiety towards the goalie, and the whole point of this is to cure your anxiety. So the puzzles or the levels get more and more interesting and really diabolical and very, very difficult.
Yeah,
at the end.
And I don't want to spoil anything because I think the one of the great parts. If you're watching the video back here, I'm probably going to play through like the first 10 levels just to give you an idea of like how it plays. So there won't be like many spoilers. But just to give you the heads up, if you're wondering if things change, they absolutely change. By the end of I think the 3rd exam, like shit just hits the fan.
Yeah,
it's almost a completely different game from that point on. So definitely, like, if you're not getting it and if you're not like really feeling it in the first few levels, stick with it because I think eventually that the sense of humor of the narrative and even the gameplay itself becomes a little more addictive, and it's like it all just kind of works together in an interesting way to the point where I was thinking today, I was like, man, there are other characters in this game besides ourselves, like 2 other strong characters who I have a very strong image of in my head, and I've never seen.
We don't see them.
Never seen them.
Carl?
At the end of every level, Carl's kind of your friend, and Carl always writes you letters and kind of like, not to motivate you. The headmaster's kind of motivating you in a dark, strange way. Yeah. But he also seems like he's not your friend. Carl seems like he's like on the inside. There might be something wrong with Carl, but
there's definitely something wrong with Carl.
He's totally your friend, and he wants you to succeed.
Yeah.
It's just we talked about Static being one of the best puzzle games, definitely for PlayStation VR. Yeah. But one of the best puzzle games I've ever played. Definitely. I don't know again what genre this game falls into, but it's whatever genre that is. It's one of the best I've ever played. So highly recommended on that front.
I will give you a tip for everyone out there. So at the beginning of the game, the very first thing it tells you is the approved heading procedure. Okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah. This is really, really important, and you need to listen to this because if you're like me, and I'm sure some of you are, you're going to see that they recommend you need to keep your neck still and pivot it at the torso. Okay. Not head it with your NVL creative with your neck. In fact, it says emphatically, do not use your neck. Use your torso.
Well, yeah, you don't want to hurt yourself.
Right. Well, and not only that, like, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. And immediately I start using my neck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this ball going over the place? This game sucks. And then eventually, we'll get to another way to play the game, is what I'm trying to say. And there was a level there that actually I started doing it the way you're supposed to. Like, oh, this is like scary, accurate, and good, and amazing to control.
Yeah.
So if you're having a hard time with this game, you're like, oh, this thing sucks. Like, no, in this case, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, there's I think even in my original review of this game, I had said that I started it up. I couldn't seem to get the ball to go anywhere that I wanted it to go. And I was like, man, I don't get the love for this game. And I slept on it. And I woke up the next day and I tried it again. And something happened while I was sleeping. I woke up and I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like I woke up with confidence. I was like, I got this. And I played it. And I think that's what happened. I was like, I stopped the wobble neck.
Probably your neck was so stiff from doing it wrong the first day that
No,
you actually
I got it
couldn't
now.
use it.
Totally got it now. And so I did. Like the second day, I totally got it down.
Yeah.
Now, here we are, a year and a half after my review, and I had to kind of relearn how to play the game. And at first, I was like, man, I'm all over the place again. I've got to relearn this.
Yeah.
And then, you got to keep your head.
Yeah, keep your head still.
Yeah.
Just move your torso.
Exactly. Now, were you finding? I'm still. Were you finding that were you turning your head in doing this, or were you constantly keeping your head straight toward the camera and then doing this kind of thing?
I was doing a combination of both, because there's sometimes the target is so far off to the side that you need to get your eyes on it to get an idea of where it's going. So, and I found as long as I actually like was doing the torso and not, cranking my head over like that, then it worked fine. And it's got to be because of the angle. Like it's, if it's seeing your head move like this, it knows that angle. But if you're tilting your head like this, suddenly, as far as it's going, like your hips must be flying out this way. So it doesn't really know. You're confusing the poor camera.
And do yourself a favor, do the game a favor, and play it the way it's supposed to be played. I'm not a fan of telling people you're playing the game wrong. Because if the game allows you to do it, then it's the game's fault for being broken. But in this case, the game tells you how to play. Listen to it.
Yeah, definitely. So there's two main modes to play. There's the story, we'll call it, and there's party mode.
Yeah.
Which is kind of unusual. We talk a few times about multiplayer games. Now there are plenty of multiplayer online PSVR games, but this is one of the ones that's built to play in the house. In kind of an unusual way.
Yeah, I got to say that when they first debuted the multiplayer party mode in this game, there were only 3 challenges. There were only 3 things to pet. I think there were 3. There might have only been 2 even. I remember Michelle and I played quite a bit when it first came out, and I was kind of dreading. This is what I was dreading about PlayStation VR or VR in general. I was like, oh God, don't tell me this is how multiplayer games are going to be played. You have to literally pass the headset to other people playing. As it turns out, this is ridiculously fun.
Yeah, and not only that, because they recognize the fact that you're going to be physically taking this off, the levels are pretty long actually. Yeah, like when it's your turn to play, it's you're in there for a few minutes, so it's not like, oh, I'm going to play for 30 seconds and hand it over to you. And another thing, echoing back to when we had Anthony on as a guest, as far as like the adjustments to get the PlayStation on, it's super easy. So it's not like I have to fiddle for 20 minutes, like, slap this thing on your head and go. And because you're not using any controllers, you don't have to learn the control scheme. It's just that. So it makes it very easy. And the multi, one thing I was going to say, I would actually recommend playing through the story first before you do, because there actually are kind of some spoilery sort of things. Yeah. Not necessarily for like the story, but for different types of gameplay. Like you kind of earn your way to, if you play a story, you kind of just get right away in the party. Right. So there are some neat surprises in different types of balls, let's say.
In the multiplayer is for up to 5 people. So this is, I think, one of the only games out there that is literally, for PlayStation VR, literally supports 5 players locally. And that's crazy. Just to think that you can have 5 people hanging around in your living room passing the headset around. Yeah. I'm like, that's something I never would have thought of, or something I never would have thought would be fun. And it's a total blast with this game. Also, there are now 10. I don't think I actually said what they upgraded to. If there was only 2 or 3 games originally, now there are 10 multiplayer modes. Or not modes, multiplayer arenas?
Yeah.
Yeah, call them that way.
Levels, whatever.
Levels,
yeah.
Exactly. Challenges. Let's call them challenges.
Sure.
Yeah. So you could with 5 players, you could spend some serious time with this for sure.
And it kind of answers the questions like, oh, I have a bunch of people over. I want them to try VR. What should we do? It's like, oh, do I give someone Spark and let them sit there, or Super Hot or something like that, and let us all sit there watch them play?
The answer is yes. Give them Super Hot, and get out of their way, and then point and laugh at them for the next half hour.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Absolutely do that. Or keep talking and no one explodes. 5 people.
You want to lose some friends fast?
I think you got one person defusing a bomb, and you got 5 people yelling out directions.
Yeah.
Nothing's more fun than that.
For true evil, give them all 5 different copies of the directions.
Failure every time.
But because the game, the way to play the game is so simple.
Yeah.
Is very intuitive. It's a very easy situation. Just have everyone over, try it out, and there's 0 motion sickness issues because you don't move.
And there's 0 instructions. Like you don't have to teach somebody how to use a controller. You can throw this on your mom.
It even gives you that.
Yeah.
Like you can actually, when you're setting up the game, you can set, do you want to do a tutorial for everybody? So even that's already built in.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of all I have, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty brilliant game. Like you said, it's kind of weird, like what kind of genre you want to put it in.
Yeah.
Because it's not a straight sports game. It's not a straight puzzle game. It's not a multiplayer game exclusively. It's not a single player. It's it doesn't really fall into any categories really nicely, which I think some of my favorite gaming experiences also have that issue. So I'm on board.
So you want to rate this thing?
Yeah, I guess we'll rate it.
Right.
So our rating scale is 1. You need to buy this. If you have a PSVR, this has to be in your library. Shut up. Stop the podcast. Go and buy this.
Shut up.
Well, I mean, sorry.
Why are they talking? They're supposed to be watching.
Yeah.
Stop talking when you should be listening.
I'm sure some of you talk back to us. Yes? See? That guy did. No, she said no. But if you're saying no...
She said meow.
She said meow. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Meow.
Okay.
No. Meow.
Did you know you authorized your microphones to pick up?
Yeah,
we can see.
We can hear every word you're saying.
Yep.
No, 2.
2. Sorry, yes, I was distracted. 2 is, it's okay. If it's on sale, or you got money burning a hole in your pocket, or if it's a genre that you particularly like, sure, why not? Pick it up. We're not going to make fun of you for it. And 3 is no. Do not buy this. Do not support these people. We need to vote with our dollars. We don't want to give our dollars to developers who give us this lazy crap. So what do you think? 1, 2, or 3?
I gotta say, I didn't. This wasn't. A lot of people had asked for this game.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people over the course of the last year or so have been like, you need to play Headmaster. You need to do a Why We Love episode about Headmaster. And I was like, and we discussed doing it.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, I was like, I don't think there's enough here to talk about for a full episode. I feel like it's going to be a 5-minute episode because it's like, what do? You hit a ball at targets and like, it's good and whatever. And I'm so glad, like, because I was like, man, a game that I loved at launch doesn't always translate to a game I love a year and a half later.
Yeah.
And I will say, when I played this today, I could not stop playing. I was like looking at my watch, which I don't own, but I was looking at the clock, and I was like, okay, I bet I can get a few more levels in before Des comes over here.
Yeah.
And it was so addictive, and I want to go back, and there's still a few more levels I need to finish, and I want to go back and get all the gold stars. I want to get all the things for my dorm room. This is what is it, $20?
If that, yeah. It's very often on sale.
Very often on sale. I think it retails for $20, and I would gladly pay $20 for this all over again because it's been nothing but a good time. Every single time I picked it up, and I
don't get better than this.
And it might on the surface look like this little tiny game. Like you just here's another indie game. Here's another like little whatever. It's not even a full AAA game. Yeah, it's not. You're right, it's not. But it is phenomenal. It's absolutely a 1. Pick it up. I mean, it should be on sale anytime now. So if you need to wait for a sale, fine. But it's still a 1, hands down. I have no complaints about this game.
No, and I really want to reiterate, like, the environment is so well built because you're kind of in the dark. There's just a little bit of light from like the buildings, and all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and you hear that sound of like the big field lights coming on, and it's like I know it's so psychosomatic, but I can actually like feel like the breeze of just like being out on a field and then at night, you can, and they actually have like the moths and flies flying in it just feels so immersive and so real feeling with such simple and kind of low res graphics.
Yeah.
It's surprising how much environmental and emotional impact they get out of such simple ingredients. So yeah, this is absolutely one for me. I think, like we said, if you're looking around for that game to introduce a bunch of people to VR with, this is like the perfect storm for that. I couldn't think of a better thing. Yeah, you pick it up. This is great.
Yeah, even if it didn't have multiplayer, I would still be giving this a 1. But like really, that is the cherry on top of the little caramel sundae. So and just hey, real quick here, guys. I want to give a quick shout out, and we are recording this in the past. But this is the very first video that's going up after we get back from PAX. Woo! So hopefully you all survived the PAX pox. Hopefully none of you are sick from the convention.
Hopefully you all got your cool little
without Parole Game Cats wristbands. But maybe you got the one I'm holding in my hand right now. I just want to say thank you to anybody that we might have met who came out and hung out with us at PAX.
Except you. You know what you did.
You know what you did. Seriously, dude, for real. No, but we're just days away from going to PAX at this point.
I know. I'm super excited to meet you folks.
And I'm a little weirded out by the whole fact, because it's like we've been filming here in my bedroom for 2 years, and we don't. The fact that this actually gets out there and reaches people, I see it in the comments, but I've never seen it in real life.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the first time that this it becomes a reality for me, and so I can only guess what a big deal it's going to be to meet you guys in just a couple of days. So thank you for coming out and having met us.
What if this is just like super ironic and sad, and no one actually came out to meet us?
It's very possible.
And this is just like,
yep.
Oh, and this is going to air, and we'll be like, oh, we suck.
Yeah.
So don't let that happen.
I'll be thankful. I'll be like, phew, dodge that bullet. All right, guys, as always, in the comments, make sure you let us know what you think of Headmaster. Is it also a 1 for you? Or do you just fucking hate this game? It's totally possible. I would like to know why, though, if you don't like it.
We support your right to be wrong.
Also, like I said, this was a game that I didn't really want to do because I didn't think we had enough to say about it. So that makes me wonder what other launch games like Gunjack or don't seem like they have a lot to talk. We don't have a lot to say about.
Yeah.
But maybe there is an episode there. So what other games do you want us to talk about? Always curious to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Desra.
And we'll see you next week.